Hi everybody, this is Dark Storm Comic Reviews here with a review on Infamous Issue 2. Now, before we start the actual comic book review, I do need to go into some background so people don't get confused with the story I'm about to review. Infamous here is based on a PlayStation 3 video game. It's honestly one of my favorite video games of all time, and the story is basically to this game is there's a city called Empire City, and it gets destroyed by an explosion, basically by this powerful device called the Ray Spear. The Ray Spear, yep. And so the Ray Spear blows Empire City up to everything. It blows it up. It's destroyed. It's no longer a city. It's basically a wasteland. And through that explosion, this guy, Cole McGrath here, the guy in the cover, you can see right here with the electric fist, he gets caught in the explosion. He develops these electrical superpowers, right? He develops these electrical superpowers, and the thing about the game is that you're this guy with electrical superpowers, and you can decide whether you want to play the game as a good guy, because this game gives you a choice. You can use your powers for the greater good, and save people, help people, all that stuff. Or you can play the game as an evil bad guy. Like you can use your powers for evil. Destroy people, electrocute whoever. You can play the role as either a bad guy or a good guy. The game gives you a unique choice through a karmic system. So you can play the game as a hero, use your powers for good, or you can use your powers for bad. As you can see through the explosion with the Ray Spear, Cole McGrath here develops electrical superpowers, and they do a kind of superhero origin story where he starts out as a bike messenger, just an average citizen who's a bike messenger, and through the Ray Spear explosion, the device that destroys Empire City, he develops these electrical superpowers. So, and the cool thing about the game is that the whole city, once it's destroyed by this Ray Spear device, it basically becomes a literal quarantine zone. The city's on lockdown. There's no food. There's a huge shortage of food. People are digging out of trash cans for the food. I mean, it's a real quarantine zone. The city is like a wasteland, basically. So you kind of gotta, if you're the hero, you kind of gotta bring the city back to what it was. Save people, be the good guy, or you can be the bad guy and make the city even worse. You can just take what you want, destroy the people that you want. One thing that I will say, if you're a huge fan of the Prototype games, it's essentially like that. If you love Prototype, you're gonna love these games. And yeah, this is one of my favorite video games of all time. The story is great. The world is great. I love the main characters. I love the side characters. And I'm not going to get too deep into the story because I don't want to spoil it for people, and I'm going to try not to spoil anything while I'm reading this book. But anyhow, here's what the game looks like. Here's the game. And I may talk about this someday, we'll see. I'd like to get more deep in on this, but this is the collection, which includes the first two Infamous games for the PS3. Now, I want to make this clear. This is a PlayStation exclusive only. So if you have an Xbox or a PC, you're out of luck. You can't get it on a PC or an Xbox. It's a PlayStation exclusive for PS3 too. So you can't play this on PS4 or PS5. You gotta own a PS3 to play these first two games. Okay. Here's a little bit of information on the back of it. Yep. And yeah, that's the basic synopsis for the story of Infamous. I'm not going to get into everything, so you're just going to have to, because I don't want to spoil the game for a lot of people I've never played it. But this is Cole McGrath on the front cover, our protagonist. He's got his electrical powers, and he's on the good side, obviously, because he has blue lightning. And these are called the First Sons. These masked-looking guys. That's all I'm going to give you. So if you want to look more into this, just Google it or play the actual games. Because if you love superhero stories and you love video games, if you're a huge comic book guy who also loves video games, you got to play this game. You gotta play these. The first two Infamous, really the first one's my favorite, but the first two games are really, really good. Yeah, I definitely recommend this. But anyways, let's start off with the story. So, and I'll probably provide some exposition while I'm talking about this book, so people don't get confused. So we're in the Neon District, which is a district in the game. We got these army soldiers out, and they're trying to capture this bad guy who's in the game called Sasha. And but her basic so Sasha here, with the extended tongues here, her ability is to she has this like black goo, and she's able to spray the black goo onto people and kind of like give them like hallucinatory like dreams and stuff like that. So give them hallucinations, and she's also able to control the people that she sprays this black goo on. So yeah, that's Sasha. And here we get Agent Moya, who is also a main character in the game. I'm not going to delve too much into that, but that's Moya, FBI agent. She plays a critical role in the game. The soldier, you see a soldier breaking down the door. Sorry, I got my hand shaky. You see the guy breaking down the door. She's like, yeah, we really need to take care of the situation. She really has a thing for McGrath, and if we got to take her into custody before we take Cole into custody. That's how this has got to work. So you see them breaking into the door. Sorry, I got my hand's shaky today. And so it's like, yeah, we need to capture her, because if we capture her, we can then capture... She's trying to basically capture, because all I'm going to say is Cole and her, the main character of the game, made a deal. The deal went south, so now she's trying to capture him. That's all I'm going to give you guys. But yeah, she's just trying to capture him, because Cole and Moya had a deal at one point. Cole was like, no, I don't want to be a part of your deal anymore, so he betrayed... So the deal went south, and now she's trying to go after him. So... Okay, we see more soldiers, and she has to get Sasha first before she gets Cole, because Sasha and Cole kind of have a connection together. So, we see the soldier come in, Moya here, we get some good action. And these, by the way, are the Reapers, and they're like, they're Sasha's minions, basically. They're Sasha's minions. They were basically... Beforehand, they were like a bunch of junkies who were dealing drugs, and then through Sasha's hallucinatory goo, they became Reapers, and these are the Reapers, the guys in orange jackets. They're her minions, basically. You see this action blowing up the FBI agent. They're having a hard time taking them down. Get this cool shot here where the Reapers getting destroyed. And then Sasha comes in. Like, yeah, I know what that, lady has got planned. You guys aren't taking me in. And she, like, sprays the black goo I was talking about all over the soldiers. And it gives them, like, hallucinatory visions. This is what Sasha looks like, by the way. You face her in the game later on in the game. So, the soldiers of Moya, the FBI soldiers, whatever you want to call them, they take Sasha down. Got her into custody. I know the light makes it kind of hard to see. Moya's like, okay, we got her, now we got to go after Cole. Because, yeah. So. We get to the next scene. And, okay, so more context. This is Zeke. This is Zeke. Z-E-K-E. That's how you say his name, Zeke. Because some people spell Zeke wrong, but that's how you spell his name, Z-E-K-E, Zeke. This is Cole's lifelong best friend. He's very prominent in the game. He's kind of it's gonna sound mean when I say it, but he's kind of a loser character. Like, he's very, kind of just sits on the couch, watches TV, but he's a decent friend to Cole. I'm not going to spoil anything in the game, but all I'm going to say is that they kind of went through some turbulence in the game, so they're not on the best terms, and this is kind of after that event. So, yeah, Zeke is basically Cole's only and closest friend. So, he's kind of funny. I really like him as a side character, actually. I like him a lot. So, Cole's like, the warden said, you need my help with something, Zeke. Like, what's up? And he goes, yeah, I just need you to charge some batteries. I need you to charge some batteries on this car. The warden needs, basically the warden needs, extra vehicles for his men. So Cole's like, yeah, here you go. I'll go ahead and charge up the car battery for you, no problem. And Zeke goes, what's wrong, Cole? Because as you can see, Cole, our main character here, he's very sad about something. Basically, Cole goes into the fact that, okay, so the main boss, the main antagonist in this game, Sasha's like a side antagonist. The main antagonist in this game is a man called Kessler, and he's the main antagonist in the game, basically. And Cole is kind of struggling with that because Kessler kind of said something to Cole, and it's kind of like it's making him think a lot. Like Kessler had a very big impact on Cole. He had a very big impact on Cole, and Cole can't like get him out of his head. He can't sleep. He can't eat. He can't think straight because Kessler is just really, really bugging him. Like Kessler made a huge impact on Cole, and he just can't stop thinking about him. He's like, I can't get him out of my head, Zeke. What am I gonna do? And it's like, you're gonna think I'm insane when I tell you this. And Zeke's like, oh, dude, Sane went out the window weeks ago with the whole explosion in Empire City and everything, and all these Reapers and other super beings coming up, and you. It's like, what's the big deal? And you can see you're really struggling here. And Cole's basically like, and so then Zeke tries to kind of cheer him up by saying like, because again, I'm not gonna get into all the story, but like, Cole and Zeke do have some turbulence in their relationship right now, and Kessler ended up capturing Zeke, well, quote unquote capturing. He quote unquote captured Zeke, and Kessler, when Zeke was locked up, Kessler would go in and out to check on Zeke. Well, not to check on him, but sorry. Cole would like go in and out. Kessler would go in and out to see Zeke, and basically what Kessler would do is Kessler would just sit and stare at Zeke. Like Kessler was drunk at the time, and he would just come in and out to see Zeke and just sit and stare at him. Really, really weird. And Zeke says, Kessler, he was just drunk all the time. He would come in to see me. He would just stare at me. He would just do all this weird stuff. And I remember the last time I saw him, the last time he came in to see me, he said, he said this really weird thing to me. He said, you've always been a goodbye, old friend. This is what Kessler said. Kessler would say to Zeke, he said, goodbye. You were always a good friend to me. I'm gonna miss you, Zeke. You're always a really good friend to me. You're always were a really good friend to me, Zeke, and I'm never gonna forget that. And it's like, so yeah, Kessler was just saying this weird stuff to him. And he's like, Zeke was telling him that to Cole. Cole was like, well, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me that Kessler said that to you? I don't get this. Because, and basically he says, and basically he says, like, I don't know, man. I don't know why I'm telling you any of this, but you got to remember, Kessler's not that big a deal. He shouldn't be that big an impact, because at the end of the day, he was just a regular guy. He's just a regular guy like all of us. Like, you shouldn't let him infest your mind like that. You shouldn't be stressed about that. So, get some really cool character stuff here. I really like it a lot, and it's really, really cool. If you play the games, you'll understand it a little more, but I'm trying to make it interesting to those who haven't also. Anyways, there's a bomb that comes out of nowhere, a rocket, and it explodes. And basically what's going on here is that Moya wants Cole so bad that she's looking to literally invade Empire City, as we can see here. Zeke can call her down. We get some planes here. We get some Moya's soldiers coming down from the air. And yeah, so then we end up at this house, and we see this purple hue for some reason, and we see people sleeping, and all of a sudden this weird monster comes out of nowhere. Soldiers are getting down on the ground. They're on the ground, and they're trying to take the house. They're checking on the house, and they see that this purple goo monster comes out. Just really random. Like, halt, don't do anything or we're going to shoot you. The monster ends up, like, it's kind of hard to make out, but the monster has, like, these purple tentacles that, like, wrap around the soldiers, and they kind of explode, basically. See here, he's got a tentacle here wrapped around this one guy. The art's kind of hard to make out, to be honest. Not the best art, but it is kind of hard to make out. Wraps his tentacle around him. As you can see, one guy's getting dragged into the house. Very pretty creepy scene, but still pretty cool. Come on, there we go. So then we get a scene. We're back with the BI agent Moya, and basically what she's doing is she's sucking out the black goo, out of Sasha. Because, like I said before, Sasha has like a black goo that she spews that gives people hallucinogenic images, and she can also control them with the black goo too. So she's basically, she's sucking the goo out, and she wants to. I think she wants to use it against Cole. I'm trying to remember, guys. I think she wants to use it against Cole. Yeah, she's just sucking it out of her, and she can obviously Sasha hears in pain. She's got those 3 tongues. And then we get this next scene. We get this action scene with Cole. He jumps on the copter and he's about to take it down. We get some really cool action sequences here. He's trying to stop the Moya's military from invading the city. And we get this cool scene where Cole is shooting down the helicopter with his electricity powers. And here we actually get a video game move, if I'm not mistaken, so in the video game, Cole has a bunch of abilities, especially if you beat the game, you're like, whichever side you're on, good or evil, you get maxed out at the end of the game. If you get all the upgrades, you're essentially like a maxed out superhuman. And Cole, he has a bunch of moves in the game, and one of them is called the Thunder Drop, where Cole jumps from a building. You hold down like a certain button, and he charges up all his energy, and then when he hits the ground, he explodes everything around him, cars, people, anything. So this is his Thunder Drop here, I believe, where he does the big drop, and the electricity just goes everywhere like a ground pound, basically. It's a really cool scene. And yeah, it's a really cool scene, and he's taking out more of the bad guys. So as you can see here, electrocutes these 2. Copter comes in to try to take him out. We get another move where he literally shoots some. A lot of these moves I don't think are from the game. The only one I could figure out was the Thunder Drop. I think most of these are just regular him shooting electric beams and stuff. I don't think a lot of them aren't really from the game, really, but still cool to see. So he shoots up. Maybe he's shooting like a megawatt hammer, which is like an electric rocket. Maybe, so that's probably what it is, but still a cool scene nonetheless. Okay, this is a move from the video game, though. So when you get to the very end of the game, you develop this power on the good and bad side. And I can't remember the name of it in the first game, but in the second game, you have it too. The second game is called the Ionic Storm. Ionic Storm, where Cole literally calls down electricity from the sky, and he can annihilate anybody in the vicinity. It's such a cool move. And in this game, you get to see it where he calls down the Ionic Storm electricity from the skies and everything, and he just rains it down upon these guys. You can do this in the legitimate game. You can actually do this in both games, and it's fantastic. Games are just freaking great. Yeah, really, really cool scene here. And it's like and Cole basically says, it's not over yet. This is just the beginning of it. Boy, it's going to send more troops. We gotta do something. And then we get this scene where we're in the sewer canal underground the Warren, and so we get to see these homeless people. They're basically talking about how the what they're underground, they're homeless, and there's like a warrant out for Cole. Basically, Cole's if you turn him in, maybe the government will help you out. And then so people are like, maybe if we turn Cole in, we can get out of our situation. Maybe we don't have to live down in these sewers. And like I said, the game setting, Empire City, it's very dark, it's very desolate. People are broke and homeless. It's a very dark time. So they're thinking, if we turn in Cole, maybe the government can get us out of the situation we're in. But before any planning can go, the monster kind of comes up. The purple monster comes up out of the water, and he wraps his tentacles around him, and purple energy just explodes out of these people. Cool scene, I like it. Yeah, if you notice the detail here, it's pretty cool. And then he slips like right back into the water. It's a pretty cool scene. Boom. So we go to the neon district. Okay, and so in the game, there are like districts in the game where you go to as Cole. The city's separated into a bunch of districts, and each of these districts are pretty different, I guess. Well, they're the same, but yeah. And so soldiers are like rounding. So basically, what's going on here is like the soldiers are like rounding people up. You see an explosion there, and they're kind of like taking them all as hostages. You know, a lot of the people are like getting, as you can see, destroyed here. Historic district. And you know, they're just blowing up buildings and shooting down people. And, you know, there's a little bit of an exclamation here. You know, Empire's seen dark days, Linda, and it's going to take a lot of effort to restore the city to what it once was. You know, they're talking about how they're basically making up a false narrative. This guy here is making up a false narrative, like, oh, we're just trying to protect Empire City. We're trying to destroy all these buildings here because that's what they're doing. They're destroying buildings. We're destroying the buildings anyways because they're going to fall apart anyways, and it's safer if we just destroy the buildings now so that these broken buildings don't just fall on themselves and destroy people. Because, you know, a lot of the buildings in Empire City are broken. Like, they're very broken buildings. They're just destroyed. They're literally crumbling at the feet. So the general is making up a lie saying, well, if we destroy these buildings now, they won't just crumble upon themselves and destroy more people, basically. So, and then he also says, we're also putting people in protective camps so that they can be protected. You know, we're putting them in concentration camps so they can be protected. Of course, all this is lies and bullcrap and everything. And, yeah, it's all lies and bullcrap because basically he's just saying all these lies basically because the real reason for why all this is happening basically is because I think Moya just wants to really get at Cole. That's why all this is happening. She wants Cole destroyed so badly that she's willing to like kill all these people, destroy all these buildings to get him out. And but yeah, we get to this next scene. Moya's like, you know, we didn't have to do this, Cole. We didn't have to do all this to get at you, you know. If you would have worked with me, if you would have stuck with our deal, all this could have been resolved. We could have been good. We could have been chummy. We could have been buddies. But no, you had to slop on our deal. And Cole goes, "Why don't you just face me mano a mano and quit with this, you know, stealthy bullcrap, you know?" And she's like, "Oh, you got to quit with the macho act. In time, Cole, you'll be destroyed, and I'm gonna make sure it happens." And then at the end of the book, we see this random guy in a tank here. I don't really know what he's supposed to be, but pretty interesting. And you got here the writers, the artists, letters, and covers. Pretty cool. And yeah, that's the end of the book. So hopefully I explained some of this well to you. I probably could have done a way better job, but yeah, that's Infamous Issue 2. I freaking love the video game. It's my favorite video game of all time. It's honestly one of the reasons I love PlayStation in general. This series, it's kind of done now because the company who was making it moved on to other projects. There's 3 video games in the series. The first 2 are the best. The first one's the best. It has the best story, in my opinion, best setting, I love the characters. Cole, basically, the thing that makes Cole so interesting, especially when you play the games, is that when he gets his powers, he's not all about, when he gets his powers, even it doesn't matter which side you're going to choose, good or evil, because you get a choice in the game, but he's that type of person who's like, he gets his powers and he could care less about saving people, taking over the world. He could give less crap about any of that. Basically, he just wants to get out of Empire City. He wants to get out of Empire City. He wants to bring his friend Zeke, and he just wants to get out of the city. Because like I said, city is under lockdown. It's under quarantine. It's a terrible place to live after the race spear explosion. He just wants to get out. He doesn't care about saving people. He doesn't care about saving lives. He just cares about himself at the end of the day, and that's what I find so interesting about his character. I just really, he's honestly my favorite video game character of all time. I just really like his character. I like the character that the company who made the game Sucker Punch created. I like the world. There's a third game in the series called Second Son, which is after the first two games, and they bring in a new protagonist, and who I really don't like that much. He's just not as interesting as this character right here. But yeah, so good issue. I really liked it. It really expands on the story, especially if you're into the games. And hey, if you're not into the games or you don't know about the infamous video games, maybe this will get you into the games. So because it does have a little bit of cool lore. Nothing big like a Mass Effect or anything, but it's got got some good lore in it, and I really like it. I'm a huge fan of these games. I really am. I'd love to see like a live action Luffy. This is one of my favorite video games of all time. I can't say anything more about it. It's just it's open. I guess I should have said it's open world. It's an open world video game too, so you can climb on buildings. You can scale buildings. You go around Empire City. You can just do whatever. Like you have electric powers. You can basically just do whatever you want. Like it's great. If you're a fan of Prototype, you're gonna love this game. It's basically Prototype, but the story is a little more solid. Like here's the thing. I like Prototype. I don't really have a side for either game. I do think Infamous is the best and is better, but I like Prototype too. But Infamous has a little bit of a better story in my opinion. So yeah, but the thing is though, you have to have a PS3, PlayStation 3 to play this, which is an old system now, but you have to have a PlayStation 3 to play these games, but it is worth it. It is really, really worth it in my opinion. If you love superheroes, if you love comic books, if you love video games, and you want an original story, and you want a game that you actually get, because that's the thing that makes this game great is the fact that you get a choice in what you want to do. If you want to play as a good guy and have blue lightning, you can do so. If you want to be a bad guy and you want to have red lightning and you want to just alienate the people around you and you just want to, totally become evil and not give a crap, then you can do that too. And that's what's so amazing about this game that a lot of games don't do. But this is the only game I can think of, a superhero game wise. I mean, other games like Mass Effect, you can do stuff like that, but this is the only superhero game I can think of that's original and that actually allows you to have a choice. So, yeah, great comic book series, great game. I may go in more depth on the video game at some point, but yeah. This has been Dark Storm Comic Reviews, and I'm signing off. Have a good day.